Proxy, table gaming, PTG, Lucky Sixes and Hyper G at your service.
Yo, yo, yo.
We're here moments after recording the last one because that's how dedicated we are to providing you all with entertainment on your daily entertainment fix, you junkies.
Yeah. Weekly, really, but yeah.
Well, they could rewatch all the videos every day.
And should.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. I mean, the amount of content that is there over the years is just insane. So, yeah. If anyone wants to drop in the comment the most PTG videos they've watched in a day, then
yeah, I'd be very interested in that.
We'll be very impressed on whoever has.
Yeah.
Who's watched the most in one day?
Your best binging session.
Absolutely, yeah. Forget The Crown, forget Game of Thrones. We want to know PTG binging session. What is your...
We should do seasons.
We so should. With a red wedding.
Yeah. I suppose our seasons are in between the mega battles. But
yes, that's true.
You do well to do 50 bat reps in a day. Or have you?
Well,
put it in the comments.
Prove us wrong. Anyway, why are we talking rubbish when it's one of my battles and I waffle on and they always become really long?
Nah, you got this one. 20 minutes.
I've got this one. You think it's... Okay, all right, fair enough. Quick, let's get on with it. So, my last battle, my last practice for tech as well with the Saurian Ancients, also coming up against Warriors. And that means that of my 4 practice battles, 3 have been against Warriors.
which is good. Because there's 10 at the tech, so...
There are 10 warrior lists, which means you can guarantee I will not face warriors now at tech. But funnily enough, Saurians are the second most popular army taken to tech, so I'm in the slightly less rolling eyes territory of the popular boys.
Yeah.
So it's against Mark Borland, who I'd never played on the table before, which is excellent. He was the one who very kindly donated the gaming table that's in my garage. So thank you to Mark for that once again. Good to play you properly. At the club, we both travelled a long way, even though we live very close to one
about 10 minutes away, right?
We live 10 minutes, yeah. So, oh well. But no, it's all good. And I certainly was not clever enough to pick the deployment objective from tech. We literally just rolled it up and got marching columns of King of the Hill.
Which could be the 2 that aren't in tech at all.
Exactly, could well
be. Which
is
great. It means you've done all of them then.
Exactly, I've done the whole spectrum within the next 6 battles. So yeah, it's all good. Mark's list is as follows. We see another Feldrak Ancestor, again with supernatural dexterity. This one's paired weapons, so extra attack, which is obviously scary enough as is.
Yeah, man.
Doom Lord. I don't think I'd ever gone against a Doom Lord before. But yeah, pretty fearsome, really. And this one has Crown of the Wizard King, which is pretty nice. When you notice Crown of the Wizard King, you think, oh, has Mark not got any magic uses?
Yeah.
But wait for it, because, you know, you've got Trophy Rack with Icon of the Infinite, which is Hellfire. You got Crown of the Wizard King, which is obviously a
random spell.
Random number 1 spell. Looking a bit further on, you've got a Battle Shrine with an Icon of the Infinite, which is Hellfire. You also had the Battle Shrine has another spell of its choice, so that goes up to 4 spells now. And then you got a Marauding Giant, who's a Monstrous Familiar. So you've actually got 5 spells, despite no actual dedicated caster. So I like that. That's a good little thing there from Mark. I very much enjoyed going through the list and seeing that.
He's got a really... this whole list, actually, is themed.
It's just cool, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, 6 units of Fallen in core is exactly 900 points.
Yeah.
Which I think is
and you can only do with a Doom Lord General.
Right, sure. Yeah.
Because otherwise it's max 2, yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
So his theme is it's a Path of the Exiled, I think is
pretty much.
So everything here is Path of the Exiled, bar possibly the Battle Shrine and Chimera and Giant, which is really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. The Battle Shrine might even be Path of the Exiled.
Yeah, it might be, yeah.
I'm not sure. But the Forsworn unit is obviously a beefy, chunky unit. That's where the Doom Lord runs around. Spike Shield, so yeah, they're no joke. Definitely not. Really cool. Chimera, who's not flying because he's not allowed to with the Doom Lord about, or is it the Feldrak? I can't remember. One of them stops.
Yeah, no, it is the Feldrak Ancestor.
It is. Yeah. 2 Wretched Ones for some random movement goodness, along with the Forsaken one, who's also random movement. Yeah, and that Marauding Giant. And obviously my chameleons are thinking, oh, a Marauding Giant. That's nice. We like the look of that.
Yeah.
My list is the same as it has been for the last 3. Obviously, I did change it after the first practice battle with Tony, and it's been the same ever since. So I am looking to get a little bit of a revenge against the Warriors, because of the 3 previous battles, I've had 1 victory, 2 defeats, and the 2 defeats have been against Warriors. It was only a victory against Dwarfs. So I am looking to settle the score with Warriors a little bit.
Very much so.
And yeah, this is the same list as it has been for a little while. So I've got my Quattle Lord as the only character. And he's kitted out with all the things that make the Temple Guard hopefully decent that are accompanying him. With Grasp of the Immortal +2 to cast, which is very cool.
Yeah, well. still going on the Temple Guard train.
Temple Guard project continues, and I'm still sticking with Alchemy, even though how much I love Divination. I'm still sticking with Alchemy. That has been submitted for tech, so going with the Alchemy buffs as the plan. The 3 Saurian Warriors, Ramphadons still in there, 2 units of Chameleons, 2 Salamanders, Taurosaur, and Sigilsaur. Funnily enough, because I've gone against Warriors in my practice games, the Taurosaur Engine of the Gods hasn't really had to use that 5 of Aegis very much. Because the Warriors don't tend to have a lot of shooting.
Can you change it?
You can, but I'm just so reluctant to lose that 5 of Aegis to range.
It is ranged completely, isn't it? It's like magic and shooting. So there's not many lists that aren't going to have either magic or shooting.
Exactly, yeah. And, Mark's got Hellfire. So, there is that threat.
Absolutely.
So here we are. We saw a brief shot of it from the angle that you came to put the picture. But the line of Fallen is incredible for Mark. He literally has a line of units, and it was marching columns. So he started on his left, our right, as we're looking at it. And I'll go from that direction. You've got Fallen, Chimera, then you've got the Forsworn with the Doomlord. You've got the Feldrak Ancestor bang in the middle, which obviously is very scary.
Yeah.
2 Wretched Ones either side of the Battle Shrine. Fallen, Giant, Fallen, Forsaken one, yeah. And then Fallen. So, yeah, just say Fallen every few seconds and you're fine, really.
And then his missus.
Yes, and then his missus, indeed. I did drop for first turn because he had so many units that it was marching columns and I got to drop the first model. So mine was Salamander, Saurian Warriors Salamander, obviously, and then I dropped the rest. Went with Taurosaur on the hill, which is obviously really cool for zoning, and it's quite a big hill on there. Sigilsaur, who's will be benefiting from the 5 of Aegis. The Temple Guard are in there in the middle. They are opposite the Feldrak Ancestor, which is quite scary because supernatural dexterity and my low agility means he could kill all of them before they do anything.
It do well to kill 30, but yeah.
26.
Sorry.
I've reduced it down. Come on now.
No, you're right. They get evaporated.
Definitely. Ramphadons sticking near. They haven't vanguarded at that point. 2 Chameleons, 1 in the woods, so they can get a little bit nearer. The other one... Oh, no, I think they might have... I don't know, no. I think the small unit has a vanguard. It doesn't vanguard anyway. They're scouting. And then 2 Saurian Warriors. King of the Hill is the big hill, which I'm on. I'm defending that one. He's trying to get to it. And the forest that his Fallen next to his Giant are in.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm going for. So that's why I've got 2 scoring units over there.
Fair play.
This is just a look at where the Chameleon's deployed, really, going for the Giant, because that's the best target, the one without the armour. And the Ramphadon's Vanguard to there. And I've moved the Chameleons now as well. But what I actually did wrong, and I wasn't happy with this as soon as I did it, is that the Chameleons were directly in front of the Ramphadons, which meant I couldn't Vanguard on top of the Chameleons. And technically, if I'd have been able to put my Ramphadons there, I could have gone 16 inches, light troops, and reformed and been right in his rear. But because my Chameleons were right in front of the Ramphadons, I would have had to go diagonal with the Ramphadons, and then I didn't have enough room to move 16 inches. Yeah. So I was gutted in the end because I'd stopped myself from getting in his backfield with the Ramphadons, which would have been really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've moved up the chameleons, and these two Saurian warriors units are very much thinking, oh god, there's a lot of stuff to get through before we can think about scoring and winning that King of the Hill. Over here, I go quite aggressive with this flank. I'm not really anticipating that any of those units, barring the Taurosaur, can do a lot against the Forsworn. But I wanted to have a chance of killing off his Fallen and Chimera. And if I lose a fair few of these on the way to doing that, then that's fine. But I'm sort of using the impassable building as a way of keeping away from the Feldrak while I deal with all those units. And
yeah, the Chimera hasn't got too much in the way of a save either, is it?
No, 4 up armor, I think it is, and only 4 HP. So yeah, I'm thinking that's a possible way of clearing those 3 units on his flank, really, and then getting away from the Forsaken as soon as possible.
Sure, yeah.
Forsworn.
Forsworn.
Yeah. So there you go. That's just a picture of end of my movement. In Magic, he dispels Molten Copper, and I get Quicksilver Lash and Spark of Creation off. I got the small Magic phase, actually. So it shows how good that Grasp of the Immortal is, that I can still cast 3 spells.
Yeah, that's crazy.
With a 4/3 base card. Really cool. And in terms of wounds, I actually had 2 wounds on the Chimera with Spark of Creation, which is awesome. And 1 wound on Quicksilver Lash on the Forsworn, which is decent.
Yeah, man.
So chipping away at them. So the Chameleon unit, the big unit, fires 18 shots into the giant, did 3 wounds, and he 666s the armor save.
Yeah, baby, I love it. Love to see
that's
it.
Just
love to see it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, isn't it? I mean, those Chameleons are just thinking, I'm sure we're shooting him. Why are we aiming for that one little plate of armor that he's got on his Oopsie. So the Chameleons are thinking, okay, we were probably going to be fleeing anyway, but now we're definitely fleeing. And speaking of which, his Fallen charge into there. I was a bit concerned with placing the Chameleons that he might not charge me and then charge me with a random mover. And I wouldn't be able to flee it. But Mark fancied the charge with the Fallen. I clearly did fancy the flee, but didn't want to roll very far. And as a result of that, the Fallen catched my big unit of Chameleons. Gutted. So he armor saves my shot.
A lot of points. It's a lot of points.
And that's like 200 points I've given away for free there. You know, not even doing a single wound to the giant. So yeah, I'm not happy about that at all, really. And in hindsight, again, I really should have put the smaller unit of Chameleon forward and the bigger unit behind.
Sure.
But the smaller unit couldn't shoot. They was out of range, so I couldn't move both of them forward.
Well, that's why we have practice games, though, right?
Exactly. Yeah, getting things right. Yeah. I had a few casualties on the Raptidons, actually. Only 2 of them were still on their bases, unfortunately.
Physical model casualties, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But now Mark has every reason to run forward, really. His random movers are very much keeping in line, which is very nice of them to do so. But yeah, he's coming forward, and I've now got to deal with it. -1 unit of Chameleons, not ideal. I have used the Toad, what was it? Rage. I called it Toad Rage last time.
Block Toad
Rage. It's not that either. I'll remember.
Toad Frenzy.
Yeah, we all know what it is.
Toadage.
Yeah, that's his movement in the middle. So Feldrak moving forward. Didn't charge. Just moved to that position around the hill. The building, rather. And over here, the Chimera, Mark thinking he's not long for this world, based on the fact he's taking 2 wounds a turn of magic, is just moving forward pretty aggressively, really. Yeah. Over here, his 666 is met with my 333 on the armor save for the Hellfire. Obviously, I was passing on a 3 up, but
so you're both doing just enough to
exactly,
not take any wounds.
Just enough to not take wounds. Yeah, so,
I like it.
And then it goes back into my turn. I don't think he managed to get anything except Hellfire off, and I actually armor saved it. And my Ramphidons basically have the pick of the bunch to charge whatever the hell they like in this picture. I don't know whether I'm setting up for the fact that I might have made the wrong decision. But I charged the unit of Fallen behind the unit of Fallen. Both of them are Toad Raged, so they're both the units that I'm going against. And I follow up with the Saurian Warrior unit on the unit of Fallen in front. Sure. I only need a 4 to get in, so I don't have a champion. So I'm thinking, yeah, that's all right. Saurian only needs a 7 to get into that unit of Fallen, so I'm thinking that's a great way of getting around the Feldrak.
Yeah, absolutely.
I reckon he can probably breath weapon the Fallen as well, and probably get through them without suffering too much damage.
Yeah.
And then I'll be in the backfield into the Battle Shrine, and yeah, the Saurian can do a little job there. Over here, charging downhill into the Chimera. I think that my warriors can take that. Be wounding on 5s, so quite fancy that. And I think he'll still be attacking first, but I can take a few wounds on the way in. Fail with the Saurian warriors. They literally roll a 1 and a 2 and don't get the charge off.
There's no leader amongst them to tell them to
exactly.
buck their ideas up.
Yeah, I do have one Saurian warrior unit with a champion, but that weren't it.
Oh, man.
But the Ramphadons do make their almost automatic charge into the Fallen unit behind. So I'm hoping with their re-rolling to hit and all sorts that they'll easily go through a unit of Fallen. And besides, in our battle, me and you, I've seen the Ramphadons kill Fallen without them taking wounds back. So I know that it actually does work. Stichisaur fails his charge, doesn't get the 7 on Swift Stride, which I was gutted by, and so he is actually just sat in front of the Feldrak.
No man's land.
Not ideal. But obviously, me and Mark both just said, well, obviously he's just going to flee. So we knew what was going to happen. And the Saurians over here making it to the Chimera, which is cool. Yeah, this is movement. I moved the Salamander up to prevent the Forsworn from flank charging my Saurians if something goes wrong. Or at least, I know they probably still could actually, but I was very, very confident in my Saurian warriors. What I wanted to do was prevent the Fallen from easily getting to my Saurian warriors. So the Salamander's just up there to be in the way a bit, really. And yeah, Taurosaur's on the hill with the Salamander. The other Salamander who's... I was a bit at this point, I was thinking, oh, I've left the Feldrak Elder with no chaff to stop him. So I'm actually thinking I'm a bit weak on chaff over here. But nonetheless, the Temple Guard are just sitting there ready for action. Not playing as aggressive this time with the Temple Guard because I didn't need to rush it.
You got the range. You got the range.
Exactly. Over here, I moved the small unit of chameleons up a bit to try and tempt his Forsaken one towards the flank, which we both know he won't do. And yeah, this unit on the flank of Saurian warriors is just waiting and biding their time. Over here, I get Glory of Gold off on this unit to make sure that I get through the armor on the Chimera. In hindsight, thinking about this, I was out of range to cast Alchemical Fire because I was casting it via the Taurosaur, and
and that halves
the range halves on augments and hexes. It doesn't halve on damage spells. So Alchemical Fire wasn't in range of 9 inches of the Taurosaur, but Glory of Gold was though. So, and that was the main effect really, was the +1 AP.
Sure.
Molten Copper kills a few of these guys, and Mark, unfortunately for him, he saved all his dice to stop that and didn't stop it. So I think my 3 dice overcame his 5 or something like that. Yeah. One of those horrible situations. Never ideal for when that happens. I get Word of Iron off as well. So the reason why he let that off was because he was trying to stop Molten Copper. I think that was the non-boosted Word of Iron. So the Saurian Warriors and I've got a 3 up armor save. Which is
you
cool.
do well to cast that on 9+ on 2 dice. Although I guess with the Grasp you could. It's not out of question. Yeah.
No, indeed. Even more so if I dropped the Taurosaur Fiberpagus and reduced the casting value by 1, which is its other effect, or one of its other effects. Salamander does pretty well again, continuing his good form of shooting off, and actually does a few wounds on the Forsworn, which is nice.
Yeah.
Only AP 1 and they're 2 up armor, but getting through, reducing their template a little bit. And over here, the Saurian Warriors easily dispatched the Chimera. I actually, in particular, wasn't too bothered about my mistake with Alchemical Fire because I didn't need the rerolls.
Sure.
The +1 AP meant that Mark's Chimera didn't have an armor save, and I rolled 4
You only needed to do 2 anyway, didn't you?
Yeah. I rolled 4 or 5 5s on the wounding roll, so I didn't actually need to reroll to wound, it was dead. And because of getting Glory of Gold off, Alchemical Fire won't matter for the next turn, because obviously it was on the dead Chimera. Don't know why I left the card there, really. But yeah, I decided because I've got Glory of Gold off, I'm not going to overrun off the table. I'm going to invite his Fallen to come and get me, basically, because I think I can do a decent job against them. And plus, I was also worried, I don't know if there's a comment that someone could help us out with this. If I overran off the table and he just put his Fallen on the edge of the table, can my Saurians come back on? Like, he literally could just march forward 5 or 6 inches. And that would be where the Saurians should come back onto the table. But if they can't get on the
I've
table,
got a feeling it's the closest point to that. But that might well be a good tactic. Because both of his units could march 12. Exactly. Excuse me, and be on the line. So yeah.
So I was a little bit in the back of my head. I was like, I can't be bothered to have that come up as a conversation.
Yeah.
So I'll just stick around, and I've got Glory of Gold off, so I'm decent. Over here, Ramford on CF the Fallen with no issues whatsoever. But overrunning, I overrun about 2 inches.
Yeah.
And that's not great with the Forsaken one being random move. So, well, not that I can flee anyway, I'm fearless. But still,
true.
you know what's going to happen there. My chameleons flee to the Fallen in his next turn, in his turn 2. They're obviously not going to hang around, and the Fallen haven't got anything else to charge, so I was just using that as an excuse to keep the Fallen busy.
Yeah.
And they don't move very far forward at all. In fact, they don't even manage to make DTs in the water, which is funny. Over here, so this is after he has charged the Stygiusaur and it's fled behind my lines. You can see its tail there, actually.
Yeah, that's quite good. That's quite good.
And he redirected into my Taurosaur, which I actually made a bit of a mistake because I left him a 9 on Swift Strike. And I do not want to do that.
Wow.
I actually said to Mark that I left the Taurosaur. Tony had a charge with his Veldrak Elder against my Taurosaur in the battle I had with him and killed my Taurosaur. And that needed an 11 charge to make it and got it. So leaving a 9 is certainly not something I would have done intentionally. But fortunately, Mark fails. So
mad.
That is very lucky because, that would not have been ideal at all. Both Fallen units charge into my units. His Forsworn just move up a bit. And actually, originally, we had the possibility that his Fallen could kill the Salamander and overrun into my Saurian warriors. But midway through the turn, we corrected this because obviously he has to maximise into the Salamander to get 3 models in, which would have meant he would have hit his Fallen on the way through and stopped. If he can kill my Salamander. Forsaken one, obviously, is going to pound their backsides quite badly. Wretched ones decide not to, and that Fallen unit decide not to charge. They're not in combat there. They're just standing in front of one another.
Yeah.
The Wretched ones are just moving up, and so being a nuisance, really. And over here, this is his Veldrak not making the charge. He moved up that Fallen unit. It's hard to keep track of the Fallen units because there were 6 of them. But yeah, that Fallen unit that was in front of the Battle Shrine just moves up to there in front of the Temple Guard, which I was intrigued by. And his Battle Shrine just moves slightly to the left-hand side so that it can get spells off. I think he had Whispers of the Veil as his other spell available.
Sure.
Oh, and he had the Divination spell, Know Thy Enemy, as his Crown of the Wizard King, which is quite a good one to get, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not many one spells that are bad, actually.
No, they're all decent, aren't they? Yeah. 2 wounds done to a Salamander with a Hellfire. I was hoping that the odds would say the Salamander with a 4-up armor save could survive a non-boosted Hellfire. So 2d3 shots, I was thinking average you get 4 hits. Wounding on a 4.
Yeah.
No, wounding on a 2. So most of them are going to wound. And hopefully one of them won't. And then a 4-up armor save. I should survive. He got literally 4 wounds through. And I passed half the armor saves.
There we go. So Maths,
just
folks.
about kept my Salamander alive. Although actually, I don't think I rolled my 5-up pages. Now that I think about it.
Sure.
And I definitely still had it active. I didn't take it off the whole battle. Maybe I was just delighted that I passed 2 armor saves.
Yeah, that'll do.
Happy to take those wounds.
That'll do.
That's going to happen, obviously. I did do a wound to him, though, so I'll take it. The Salamander did not take any wounds. And he killed a Fallen. So I actually, it would have been a draw if that's the case. How did it charge? Maybe I took 1 wound. Either way, I failed a break test, which was rerollable 8, and I failed.
Sure.
Must have been rerollable 7. Anyway, might not have even been rerollable.
I was going to say, is it rerollable?
Yeah, it's not, because it might have been out of BSB range. But either way, Salamander ran away and got run down. This is very much how I would expect this to go. Lose a few Saurian warriors on the way in, Fallen attacking first. But yeah, just punk the Fallen back. With the Glory of Gold, making sure he didn't have any armor saves. So
solid,
decent. Got rid of a Fallen unit, which was kind of their job, and then it's my turn next, so I could potentially follow up and charge the next one. And speaking of my turn, I saw this opportunity, which was only just in my line of sight, a flank charge on that Fallen unit to help out with a frontal charge from the other unit, and I think I got a little bit blinded by the fact that I could only just see them, because really I'm not entirely sure that it's that beneficial making that flank charge.
Okay.
So I think in hindsight, I think my unit in the front can deal with them and be in a fine position. I don't think I needed to flank charge them as well.
Yeah, I suppose you're not. So you should be able to kill them.
Exactly.
Anyway. But yeah,
I think in hindsight, I would have been better with just marching 8 inches forwards and tackling the other Fallen at the top, and then maybe skirting round and making the Forsaken one deal with me. Whereas this way, I'm very much bringing my units close together, and he can hold me.
Sure, yeah.
So I think I got blinded by the fact that I could only just make this charge and thought, yeah, go for it, woo! Without really thinking of how much it would help. So Temple Guard, take this opportunity. Absolutely, I do not need to charge the Feldrak, and I can get out of his line of sight if I charge the Fallen. I said to Mark, a Fallen fearless. They are. They couldn't flee.
Yeah.
I was taking that. 100%. And Taurosaur charges into the flank of there just to get in the flank of the Forsworn as well. I didn't need much to make the charge, and I was re-rolling, so may as well impact hit that Fallen unit off and then be in the flank of both, which is cool. And I moved the Salamander up to block the Feldrak as well, which I'm not sure we've got pitch for or not. Find out in a minute. Yeah, so these make it, which is cool. Well done them. They do have a champion, so I think they needed a 7 actually. So there's that. Giant has taken 0 wounds because of the chameleons not doing their job. So and Temple Guard easily make it into there. You can see I am in line of sight of the Feldrak at the moment, but I'm very much assuming that Temple Guard will kill all the Fallen. So I'm not going to get a flank charge or a rear charge. Taurosaur makes it in alongside the Saurian buddies to kill the Fallen. So I'm knocking down Fallen units.
Yeah.
Which is obviously necessary. Stygiosaur rallies is back in the game, which is very handy. And these chameleons rally as well on their Discipline 6. So they're back in, which is good. Yeah, move my Salamander up to chaff both his Forsworn and his Feldrak. Basically made it so the Feldrak was charging the flank of the Salamander, the Forsworn in the front, neither of whom will hopefully be able to overrun into the Temple Guard, because the Temple Guard will have hopefully overrun a bit further forward.
Yeah.
But still within BSB range of a potential terror check on the Salamander. I'm not sure if his Feldrak causes terror. I assume it does. It must do. I would think so.
Gigantic doesn't. Gigantic cause terror.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So, yeah. So there was a potential. I wouldn't have a reroll on a cold-blooded 8, but actually it would have been cold-blooded 6 or 7 as a Salamander. Yeah, I was hoping the Temple Guard would be near enough.
Sure.
I got the boosted Word of Iron off on this Saurian unit, which I think, I know it's definitely in this turn. Let me just see the next picture. Yeah, no, I think it was the Word of Iron, because I cast these 2 spells to boost up the defensive power of the Temple Guard. Not massively necessary, because I figure I'm going to kill the Fallen, but the Fallen were attacking before me.
Sure. I didn't want to lose too many.
I didn't want to lose many of my Temple Guard before they struck, really, so I just boosted them up. And the Stygiosaur was all the way back on my backfield. The Taurosaur was in combat, so was my Quattle. I didn't actually have any use for my magic missiles, really. So I boosted the Temple Guard to keep them alive. And yeah, the previous picture of the Word of Iron, Mark saved all his dice to stop it. And again, I got it through. So Mark was having some real rotten luck with his dispelling, unfortunately. Both in his turn 2 and turn 3, he failed to stop me from getting spells through.
Sure, yeah.
Make very short work of the Fallen, and this is where I really realised that I didn't need to make that flank charge because I had very little room to reform or anything like that. I basically could have overrun into the giant with the one in the front. I could have overrun with both, I guess, but one would have gone past the giant. And there's just not much room. I don't really know how best to do that. Once I'd got into that situation, I was a bit like, I don't know how to make the most of this situation. So any thoughts there? Once you've made that charge in the flank, how should I now have gone about reforming?
Well, I'm not sure. If you overrun with the blue unit, we'll say, and first, then you get into the giant. Yeah. If you could have potentially overrun with the red unit and got into the wretched one, but I'm not sure there's enough space.
Well, yeah.
But then, I guess if you overrun to it and you touched it, it would count as a new charge, and you just charge as much as you can. But it's whether you could have wheeled. You ignore your units for that precise moment. I know, but I don't know whether you've got to go straight and complete the charge straight, or if you just complete the charge how best you can, because that might not have been a bad idea.
I think one unit would have stopped the other from completing the charge as well.
Possibly, that's another possibility. But yeah,
so even though they ignore each other for the overrun, once they've stopped, they'll be on.
Well, that's what I mean. So if that blue unit goes forward another 1.5 inches, you could technically touch the wretched one. Yeah, sure. Touch the wretched one with that red unit, but you would have had to have wheeled and got into it and done it after. So would that have mattered? I guess it's one of those finicky. At what point does it do it? At what point do you ignore units? Blah blah blah. Because and that would have solely depended on you getting in the first place. It's like what 8 inches, maybe 7 inches. So you'd have to have rolled that anyway to start off with. But yeah, and if not, you'd have been facing that way. So it's a risk.
Yeah. And so what I did really was I just stayed put with both, pretty much, and had to basically just move 90 degrees with that flanking unit and face the other Fallen. Not to forget the Forsaken one that's standing behind the giant, which is with random move, even without random move, it's not great. Sure. So I think in hindsight, that flank charge was unnecessary and just bunched up my units when I didn't need to be bunched up.
Sure, yeah.
Temple Guard easily see off the Fallen. I do lose one Temple Guard, but you know, that shows that potentially I could have lost a fair few more. Because the Fallen have like 15 attacks.
They're really good.
So, you know, one of the things I always say about Temple Guard is their defensive capabilities are not great. So I think I could have lost a good 5 or 6 if I hadn't got those spells on. Over here, the Saurians and the Taurosaur. I think the Taurosaur kills them all with impact hits, to be honest. And so now I'm in the backfield, or the side of the Forsworn, which is excellent. And the Salamander is protecting from the Feldrak. So happy with that. There isn't an overrun for the Feldrak through the Salamander into the Taurosaur. Made sure of that when I reformed the Taurosaur.
What movement are the Forsworn?
Oh, I don't know, 5 or 6.
Could you go back one? So your King of the Hill is the hill.
The hill, directly below.
Is there any movement possibility of him just marching onto the hill?
I think it's a possibility. Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, I don't know what happens. So
no, sure. I mean, it's probably worth saying actually that Mark's list only had one scoring unit, which was them.
Yeah.
Which is quite rare these days. You probably see more likely 3 or 4 scoring units. Mark only had one, and it was King of the Hill. So the best he can really do is either win 1-0 or draw. And if I stop this scoring unit getting to the hill, then he won't win it.
Yeah, but your Salamander isn't intentionally there to block his movement.
It's not there to block him. It's to block the charge on the Temple Guard. Yeah, absolutely.
So he might be able to just march onto it.
Correct. Yeah, he may well be able to.
Sure.
But I wasn't really planning on stopping that Forsworn unit, especially at this stage. Well, they've got Doomlord in, let's not forget.
Yeah.
It's not just a unit of 8 Forsworn there. It's 7 Forsworn and a terrifying Doomlord.
Yeah.
So over to here, he random moves everything into me, on top of the giant charging the front and the Fallen charging into the front of the other unit. Yeah. So in this regard, I was glad I faced the other Fallen, because it means I might be able to do something about them. But yeah, it's munching time. And because I've basically put both my units next to each other, he's just gone. You know.
Sure.
I think I could have played that better and avoided that situation. Feldrak charges into the Salamander. I am close enough with my Temple Guard, who failed to overrun into the Wretched Ones, let's just add, after clearing the Fallen.
Yeah.
They could have overrun into one of the Wretched Ones, but they didn't overrun very far at all, which does mean I've got a Terror reroll, which means the Salamander 6 roll.
At least. So there's...
So there's... And that's how it ends up. He moves his Forsworn to face these 2 units. Afterwards, we both realised that he hadn't chaffed the Taurosaur. The Taurosaur can get round Forsworn.
Right, okay.
It cannot charge round, though, because once it had wheeled, it would miss the Feldrak.
Sure.
But yes, he can still get round. But he didn't take up the opportunity to move onto the hill, as you can see.
Yeah.
Over here, he gets Whispers of the Veil off on my Saurian warriors to reduce their chances of being steadfast, obviously.
And the discipline anyway, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, although interestingly, the discipline of the Saurians, that takes them down to 7, but now my BSB in general are nearby. So does it...
I don't know at what point. I've got a feeling that I've changed it so that that's after you've taken the modifier. So like you would take
the general
a leadership score, so either yours or you choose, and then the modifier comes in. Is what I think happens, but I'm happy to be wrong on that, actually.
I wasn't sure, but at that point I'd run out of dice, so that was always going on. I can't remember what spell I stopped, but I know that one went through. And yeah, munch up. The Forsaken one just went mental on my Saurian warriors. What I was gutted by, actually, is the Saurian warriors only killed 4 of the Fallen. And that meant that he could overrun sideways. Which meant he overran into my other unit. And yeah, they're even more munched now. So I think that by making that flank charge, I have basically killed off my 2 units.
Sure, yeah.
So sometimes you just got to not take a charge. But of course, this Saurian warrior unit has got 2 armor save. So there's that.
And there's a lot of AP naught stuff going on.
AP naughts, well. Yeah. Even his giant only AP 2. So they might hang around. They take a lot of wounds. And they die. So yeah, they do actually run.
Yeah.
And he... what did he catch them with?
Still, to only take 6 wounds to that lot.
Well, exactly. 2 up armor save is what I saved a lot of them. But yeah. What did they die to?
Oh, the overrun?
Yes, because they overran sideways from the Forsaken one and the single Fallen.
Yeah.
In that second round of combat, I killed the single Fallen, but he chose to make me run from the Forsaken one.
Yeah.
Which meant all of his random movers were rolling 3d6 to overrun sideways towards my Temple Guard.
Yeah.
And all 3 of them made it, which included a 666 from the Forsaken one.
Nice.
Because he had to go all the way through and to get there. I think the giant, I don't know if it reformed or just didn't roll very high on the overrun. Not sure, but either way, the giant doesn't get in. And so now my Temple Guard are getting a bit surrounded here with a Forsaken one, a Feldrak behind them, and a lot of Unbreakable, Path of the Exiled in their front. So another good test for the Temple Guard coming up. But it is my turn coming up. I moved the Taurosaur around the unit Forsworn, so I don't want anything to do with that. I did think briefly about charging the Taurosaur in and the Saurian warriors to take up a lot of the attacks. But I think I just lose too much combat res from losing the Saurian warriors.
I agree.
And there's only so much a Taurosaur can do. Really, I might kill 2 Forsworn at best.
Do you even get your stomp against them?
I don't know. They might be... No, they're large, aren't they? So probably not. Yeah. So yeah, it's not the fight for the Taurosaur. No. I swift reform my Saurian warriors. Basically, I kind of thought to myself that I'm probably not going to be able to stop him getting to the hill, no matter what I do. But I couldn't move around the Forsworn. So I just kind of was hoping that maybe there's some way that I can delay the Forsworn from getting on that hill. But really, I know the Forsworn are going to kill the Saurian warriors. But if that's their only scout for the whole battle, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, sure.
There's about 1,200 points worth of Forsworn and Doomlord in there. So if they only kill one Saurian warrior unit, I'm happy with that. And yeah, the Taurosaur gets away so that he can help out with the Feldrak when that inevitably kicks off. It actually failed a march test, the Taurosaur, so could only go that far, which was lucky it could get around them. I get Word of Iron off. I think it was the boosted Word of Iron, so I think I'm a 1-up armor save on the Temple Guard, which is insane. I'm so loving that spell for alchemy.
Yeah, basically. Man. Really good. Res 4 and 1-up, 3-up armor goes into 1-up is insane. Yeah,
it's great. And then you've also got Healing Waters if you need it as well, which is cool. And I get Alchemical Fire on the Forsaken one, who has now taken 3 wounds. I think the Saurian Warriors did a couple too beforehand. I have got a Flaming Banner in the Temple Guard if I want to be re-rolling my wounds on the Forsaken one.
Yeah. And stopping they're all...
Fortitude.
Anyway, so...
Yeah. But what I do is I decide not to use my Flaming Banner because I wanted to save it for the Unburnt Feldrak. I don't know if this was me rushing my thinking at this point because I didn't give it a lot of thought. But yeah, I decided not to use my Flaming Banner to save it for later, and also not to use my Rending Banner because I know that the Feldrak's coming in later. But
yeah, I'm with you on the Rending Banner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't need the Rending Banner. But yeah, possibly should have popped the Flaming Banner because it would have stayed in combat for the whole time, wouldn't it?
Unless you go out of combat at this point.
Exactly. So, but as it happens, I only do 2 wounds to each of the Wretched ones, and they're unbreakable. So I would have stayed in combat if I had a popped the Flaming Banner. So even if I'd killed the Forsaken one,
they've got Fortitude as well, though, haven't they? So you would have done more.
Yeah,
wounds.
They have. Yeah. Oh, true. No, good point. Yeah. So yeah, all 3 of these unbreakable units are down to 1 or 2 wounds each. So that's how my turn ends, basically. Which means, in his turn, it's munch time again. Feldrak.
That happens a lot with warriors, though.
Yeah,
it's munch time every time.
Yeah, yeah, and the Battle Shrine comes into the side as well for a bit of impacted goodness. So I've got a 1-up armor save, and that'll protect me from the front a little bit, but in the flank, a little bit of an issue.
That Forsaken one looks like a Marlborough from this angle.
Yes, it does. Yeah, the tentacles and it certainly does. I did have the discussion with Mark, though, that none of these models he's got in, apart from the Feldrak, were characters. And I have a juicy little Temple Guard champion. So that was a very...
I challenge you!
Yeah, exactly. So there was
you just, if you're in real life, you go, shut up.
You would stamp. Now move on. Yeah, so his Forsworn very much killed my Saurian warriors. I fled the charge, and he caught me. I suppose, he would get a reform, wouldn't he, if he passed a discipline test? But yeah, he's now facing the other way. It's his turn 4. There is
plenty of time.
There is no chance that I'm going to stop him getting on the hill, unless I literally stick the Taurosaur in front of him, which I suppose would have been an idea. But I think
not with the Doomlord.
They probably kill him in turn 5 and then move on to the hill in turn 6. So I don't think it really stops him. And this is actually the last picture at the end of his turn 4. Mark was heading off on holiday, actually, straight after this battle.
Oh, right. Sweet.
So we wrapped it up after this. But what we did was we talked out what would happen after this combat ended. And my Temple Guard easily dispatched both of the Wretched ones and the Forsaken one. So all 3 are dead.
Because you popped the Flaming Banner?
Because I popped the Flending Banner, the Flaming Banner.
The Flending? Oh, I like that.
Yeah. but and the rending banner obviously as well. But I do a wound to the battle shrine as well from my attacks to the side, and my champion is almost the only one that dies for the temple guard. So really, in terms of combat res, I've killed the wretched ones and done a wound to the battle shrine. I've got my ranks still because the Feldrak doesn't break rank bonus. And I win by 1, and it causes the battle shrine to run away, which is really cool. And I basically reform to be fighting the Feldrak in the front now. I do not have a champion anymore, but going into my turn 5, the Taurosaur is going to charge in the flank of the Feldrak with impact hits and 5. So
it's a good thing that he's not in.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Taurosaur was, exactly. So it was a temporary challenge, definitely. And yeah, going into my turn 5, what we do is we talk out the rest of the battle. We figure that the Taurosaur charges into the Feldrak, does a few wounds with impact hits. The Feldrak kills some Temple Guard, unless he tries to kill the Taurosaur. But the Taurosaur can probably survive 1 combat round with the Feldrak.
6 wounds is a lot.
6 wounds, exactly. Yeah. And plus the Temple Guard are strength 6, AP2. AP2? Yeah, AP2. So the Feldrak might take a few wounds from them as well, apart from the re-rolling to wounds thing. Yeah, but I have got a magic phase to boost them as well in various ways.
If you got Alchemical Fire, you'd negate the re-rolling.
Really?
You'd be re-rolling to hit.
Not re-roll.
But there's an argument to say that you would re-roll twice, because that is an actual thing. I'm not sure whether there's an actual ETC ruling on this, but I'm pretty sure if you have re-rolls for and re-rolls against, you actually meant to re-roll to roll the first lot and then just roll it again.
Yeah, so basically you're rolling. But it's a pointless roll.
It's a pointless roll, but you've got to do
every dice.
I've been told.
So there's that. We basically played out that the Stygiosaur would have made sure that the giant couldn't help in any way, and the Styg also used its breath weapon alongside 2 lots of small chameleon shooting the giant.
Pew, pew.
And exactly, strangely enough, we rolled the small unit of chameleons on the giant, and my 18 shots from my unit of 9 did 0 wounds, but my unit of 5 with 20 shots killed it. Good lads.
Solid.
They're clearly the elite chameleons.
Yeah.
And what we also did was we rolled the battle shrine trying to rally. It fails to rally in Mark's turn 5, flees, doesn't get off the board. Then we try and rally him again in Mark's turn 6, doesn't rally, and he runs off the board. So a bit of bad discipline from the battle shrine as well there. So I get the points for the giant, I get the points for the battle shrine. We say that the Temple Guard and the Taurosaur killed the Feldrak. That may be slightly ambiguous, but
that's just a spike, isn't it? It's just down to dice.
Exactly. Yeah. I think overall my units do kill his Feldrak, and based on the fact that the Forsworn have to go for the hill to get the objective, then there's that. But also the factor is we say it's a drawn objective because the Temple Guard, if they kill the Feldrak in my turn 5, then they have enough in them to reform and move on to the objective for me. So we did draw the objective. Now, a lot of that is talking it out, but it does end in a 13-7 for the Saurians with a drawn objective.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. But yes, really, really fun battle. Great to play Mark. He has got some beautiful models, which I don't think I even mentioned, which I should have done.
The Marlborough. You mentioned the Marlborough.
Yeah. And yeah, it was a good game for Temple Guard. Did a decent job with a bit of help from Magic, obviously. I think I made a few mistakes. I think Mark also thought he made some mistakes with his Fallen movement, like giving the Temple Guard a way out from the Feldrak's attention.
And not being able to flee is a big thing,
Yeah.
Is it irredeemable, actually? Are they irredeemable, this army?
Irredeemable was on the Wretched Ones and the Forsaken one.
Sure.
No, they are. If they fail a break test, the Fallen, then they get to attack, and then they're removed.
Sure.
That's what irredeemable is. But yeah, actually, funnily enough, in Mark's turn 4, so shortly before this situation, he actually cast Glory of Gold on his Forsaken one. And I let it go because I said to him, "Oh, I think the Temple Guard will kill the Forsaken one before he strikes." Of course, he's irredeemable.
So he always goes.
Yeah. Always attacks. So yeah, Mark sat on that one when I let that spell go, as he should, because I was wrong. I was stating,
I think you'll find I'll kill you before you go, and he's going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fair play to him. I was being cocky. I deserved it. So anyway, good game. Going to Tech with a victory, and that's 2 wins, 2 losses of my 4 practice games.
Yeah, and of course we've had Tech.
Well, yes, we have.
Technically.
Now, when you see this.
Yes, when this is released. And all the battles now for the next however long will be Tech battles. And I'm very excited to get some tournament play going again.
Really, very excited. First in-person tournament since
we do have some
February 2020.
We do have some pre-games as well booked in, but I'm not sure whether we're going to... we might just mention them on the things, because I'm not sure about...
Maybe.
Or do them afterwards or something.
Yeah, maybe. Might do them afterwards.
But yeah, so we do have some games booked in on the Friday. Go down, soak up the atmosphere, go over Matty Pease, who's putting us up.
Absolutely. Yeah, good lad.
So we're going over the mansion that is Casa de Matty.
Yeah, mucking out the stables.
I think whoever doing worst on day 1 helps him muck out the stables, isn't it?
Something like that.
Yes. But yeah.
In terms of my expectations for Tech, though, I'm similar to you, and I'd like to get to 50 points. I don't think I'm terribly bothered about being 0-20'd. Obviously, I don't want to be, but it's not as big a objective for me.
Yeah.
And similarly, I wouldn't be terribly dissatisfied with 2 out of 5 wins, so long as I've done all right overall. Because I know that I've previously had a tournament where I've won 4 out of 5 and still not got 50 points. So really, the 50 points is my main objective, if I'm honest. Yeah. Cool. All right, so give us some comments. Let us know about your PTG binging.
Yeah.
We'll see you for Tech.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe, folks, and all that jazz. But otherwise, see you later.